I'm Grayson from Greyhound Goods, and today I'm going to show you how I make fishing nets out of recycled skateboards and skateboard veneers. So these are veneers that were made for making skateboards, and then the handle is actual recycled skateboards. So it's kind of like a hybrid between skateboards that haven't been made yet and skateboards that have been made, skated, and retired. So it's kind of fun. So I took this net from a friend of mine who fly fishes, and I'm basically just gonna steal these dimensions out of this so that I know a replacement net this size will fit the hoop that I make. First off, we're gonna make the forms for shaping our hoop. I'm just gonna take this net that I have and trace out the inner diameter onto this piece of 3/4 inch plywood, and then we'll cut that out on the bandsaw and clean it up on the sander. All right, so next we're gonna take this piece that we just made and we're gonna retrace it out, but just about 1.5 inches oversized, and we can leave that cut rough. We don't have to worry about cleaning that up on the sander or anything. All right, now it's important to draw like a pretty cool looking face on it. You want it to be someone friendly and nice, but someone that you'd want to hang out with. So I'm thinking I'm probably gonna give my guy sunglasses. And probably like a pretty friendly smile. Some nice teeth. That's good, that's gonna be good. The last step for making the form is to attach this handle piece. I'm just gonna do that with my domino joiner, and then it'll be ready to glue up our hoop. So I've just glued this handle piece onto our main jig. We're gonna glue our hoop up with epoxy, and to prevent that from sticking to our jig, I'm gonna wax it up really good, and that's gonna create a barrier so that the epoxy doesn't just stick to our plywood, and we can remove it when we've got it all glued up. So next up, we're gonna make our recycled skateboard's handle. So I've made this template out of plywood of the shape of the handle that I'm gonna make, and I'm gonna make it out of this chunk of glued up skateboards here. It's got kind of the same color scheme as the hoop that I'm going for. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do next. Next, I'm just gonna attach my template to my handle piece using some blue tape and some Starbond CA glue. So now that I've got my template attached to my handle, I'm gonna use this nice white side router bit. It's got this bearing on the bottom, and the bearing is gonna ride along my template, and it's gonna cut out my handle to the exact same size as the template. next up, we're gonna start working on the hoop itself. And for that, I'm using these skateboard veneers, and they come in full skateboard size pieces. So the first thing I did was to cut them down into these 3/4 inch strips. And then my next process is gonna be that I need to make these twice as long as they are. So I'm gonna join a couple pieces in the middle. So I'm just using this ruler as a straight edge. I'm just holding these pieces together, put a small piece of tape in there, and then some glue. All right, we've come to the main glue up phase of the project. So we've got all of our veneers to the length and size that we need. We're gonna spread some epoxy in between each layer, get them mounted up here. And then I've got this piece of steel that I made to go all around the outside. And that's where our clamps are gonna grab instead of like marring up our nice wood. So I'm gonna put a piece of tape on the inside of this so that our glue doesn't stick to that. And then we're gonna get gluing. All right, so we're all glued up and clamped up. We're gonna let this sit overnight, give that epoxy time to cure, and then in the morning, it'll be ready to pop the clamps off and continue with the process. But in the meantime, I have this other net that I pulled out of the clamps this morning, and so we'll continue the build video with this one. All right, so now I've got it all flattened and sanded and smoothed out. Our next step is going to be, I'm gonna mark a center line along this outside, and then I'm gonna cut a 1/16 inch groove where the string is gonna rest once we tie the net in. So I have this bit on here that cuts a 1/16 of an inch, but it goes deeper than I want it to. So I made this little block that fits over the top, and I can screw this into my router table. And then when I go to route it, my net bumps into this block and only allows this blade to cut a 1/16 of an inch deep. So I'm gonna screw this thing onto my table, and then we'll cut this groove in the net. All right, so we just cut this groove where the string is gonna rest. Now we're gonna use this bit to round over all these hard edges. So now I've got everything smooth and round, and our next step is going to be to sand everything, get it really nice and ready for finish. Then we're going to drill the holes for the net, and we'll wipe some finish on it. All right, now I've got it all sanded up to 220 grit, so I'm just going to put some tape around the perimeter of this one to mark, and then I'm just going to stack this on this, and then I'll make marks on my tape with my Sharpie where I need to drill the holes. It's all ready for finish. So I've got it hung up on here, and we're gonna do 6 coats of this Total Boat Halcyon Clear. So yeah, let's get the first coat of that brushed on. The nice thing about this Total Boat Halcyon Clear is you can recoat in an hour. So we'll give this an hour to cure up, and then I'll scuff it up with some 400 grit and do the next coat. But in the meantime, I've got this next net that has already got all 6 coats of finish and is ready to have its net strung up. So we're going to go ahead and do that with this one. Alright, so we're all strung up. I am going to go through and tighten up this string a little bit, but I'll do that off camera because it's boring. So otherwise, that's our net finished with recycled skateboards and skateboard veneers. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe for more, and I'm going to go catch some fish.